Welcome back to Ellis Park, where we're just moments away, or minutes away from Wales versus New Zealand. With me is Gareth Edwards. Gareth, let's just talk for a moment about the England performance. Gordon Brown described it as a stuttering performance.
Yes, I think I'd agree with him. England have coughed and spluttered their way to the quarter-finals, but then they've had the comfort of that. Then again, the objective has been achieved. But I'm sure Jack Rowell, more than anybody, realises that possibly England have used up their good fortune so far in the cup, because from the quarters onwards they might not have that second opportunity. They certainly have to improve the quality of their play.
It was a better performance though, wasn't it?
Oh, certainly. And of course conditions weren't ideal in Durban, but having said that, you expect players of the quality that England have, players that have won the Grand Slam in the European Championship, to perform better. Italy, on the other hand, give a full commitment to the game. At the end of the day, England will be well satisfied with the result, if not the quality of their play.
Well, let's just turn to this game. The atmosphere obviously building up here. There's some plenty of Welsh support around. What about this chap Lomu? How are they going to deal with him?
Well, I mean, everybody talks about using guns and all kinds of odd weapons, but I think possibly what Wales really have to do is take a leaf out of South Africa's book, see if they can turn New Zealand first and foremost. If they can put pressure on them, and they've got some tall forwards who could win a lot of possession in the line-out, once you put pressure on the opposition, doesn't matter how good a side they are, they often look more uncomfortable than when they've got the ball in their hands. That is probably the way of keeping John Lomu rather quiet. If they fail there, then they'll have to get in their tackles very, very early.
You can see here the Welsh boys coming out. What will be going through their minds now?
They'll be dying to get on the field because they've got a few butterflies. They'll realize they're very tense. They know the task ahead, and it's interesting to see how calm Ian Evans looked coming down those stairs and coming up onto the field. They'll be just dying to get out there when the tension will really ease away. The match is just away. They'll want the match to get underway. They'll be thinking about the first task. The forwards probably about the first scrummage. Alec Evans will have gone through the textbook, the first scrummage, the first line-out, and from their point of view, really trying to not to make mistakes.
Now we see the All Blacks. It's going to be quite a forward battle out there, isn't it?
It will be, yes, it will. It always has been and always will be. Although I don't think this present New Zealand side has the physique and the hardness of past All Black sides. And what encouraged me as a Welshman more than anything were the number of mistakes they made against Ireland. They made more mistakes in that match than they made in a whole series against us. One of the difficulties of playing New Zealand in the old days is they rarely made mistakes. But I think they're so keen to get the ball to the wings, and especially to John O'Rourke, that they're prepared to throw the ball around. And that might be an opportunity for Wales.
The Welsh haven't beaten the All Blacks since 1953. Is there a realistic possibility, very briefly?
Yes, I think there is. The Welsh boys, although a lot of them are young, have got the confidence. They're looking forward to it.
All right, let's join our match commentators. Clive Norling, Gareth Edwards is going to join them. And first, John Taylor.
Thank you, Mark. Sean Fitzpatrick there, the All Blacks captain. An amazing man. He's now the most capped All Black ever. And there's my call. The Welsh captain, new in his captaincy career, this just his second match, taking over from Ian Evans before the tournament began. There was no slight on Ian Evans, much more that the new Welsh regime thought that it was very difficult to captain a team effectively from the wing, and also that Alec Evans, having very little time to work with this new team, decided that it would help him if he had his Cardiff captain as captain of Wales as well. Cheers ring out for God defend New Zealand. Now Henlad van Hadai. And the All Blacks lining up to perform the haka. The man leading them, Jamie Joseph. And the Welsh team all lining up on halfway to accept the challenge. And instead of Belief at the end, a slight variation. There's the Welsh lineup. It's an experimental one. In the backs, Gareth Thomas moves to partner captain Mike Hall in the centre. Neil Jenkins moves back to fly half. Robert Jones comes in at scrum half. He and Ieuan Evans join Gareth Edwards on 53 caps. Only JPR Williams has more. It's in the forwards, though, that Wales have thrown caution to the winds. They beefed up the pack by playing Gareth Llewellyn on the flank and introduced those three new caps: Jonathan Humphreys, Greg Prosser and Mark Bennett. There's the New Zealand lineup, and now it's the same team which finished the match against Ireland. They had intended to make one change, Zinzan Brooke coming in at number 8 and Mike Brewer moving to blindside. But Brooke still has problems with his calf, so Brewer stays at 8 with Jamie Joseph, the man who led the haka, at number 6. Mark Ellis continues to deputise for Jeff Wilson on the right wing, but all eyes will be on the sensation of the tournament so far, Jonah Lomu wearing the number 11 jersey. Steve Ford's the only player on the Welsh bench not to have had a run so far, and Kevin Schuler will be at number 19 for New Zealand instead of Joseph. There's the referee, Ed Morrison of England, and his touch judges will be Steve Lander and Barry Leask. So Ed Morrison starts the match. The All Blacks piling straight in, and a penalty to Wales just to relieve the pressure. Greg Prosser couldn't hold on to that kickoff, and forward comes Tony Clement. He's got a great boot. Takes play back up to halfway. And the man about to throw in, what a big game for him. Jonathan Humphreys, the Cardiff hooker, making his debut. Big take, but Wales being driven back. Coming away, though, the other new cap, Mark Bennett. The All Blacks coming over the top. Fitzpatrick just keeping his feet in. The Blacks offside, and Wales have a penalty. play just the sort of start they'd have wanted.
Well, a perfect start. 2 penalties in the first minute against All Blacks, and we haven't seen indiscipline like that for a long time amongst the New Zealand side. And here's an early opportunity, because the All Black three-quarters were up beyond the last foot of the ruck, and it gives the opportunity for Neil Jenkins to actually take a potted goal.
Gareth Edwards, safely in your seat now. Up here at this sort of altitude, Neil Jenkins doesn't really have too many problems as long as the kick is inside the opponent's half.
That's right, he's certainly within the top 2 or 3 kickers in the world. I've seen some kicks from greater distance than this at this fantastic field and setting. Let's see whether or not Neil can follow his predecessors.
Neil Jenkins, he only scored 39 points in his first 8 games, but since then he's averaged more than 13 points a game, which is right up there with the very best. A difficult angle for him, but he's been striking the ball really well. Gets under it, he's got the distance, but he's just wide. Pushed it past the right-hand post. The All Blacks touchdown safely. And this is one of their comparative new boys, Andrew Mertens, only his 3rd cap, dropping out. He gets good height on the kick, but it's too long. That's another break for Wales. A scrum back in front of the post on the 22. Robert Jones alert to the fact that he could have taken a line out, just testing them. Now the first big test for this new look Welsh scrum. And referee Ed Morrison just telling both packs to get up. I'm sure he'll want to establish some discipline at these scrums early on. No problems there for the Welsh so far. Wide to Ian Evans. He's got a bit of space. Back it goes to Mertens. And a good kick for him into touch. The one thing I've noticed, Gareth, is that the All Blacks in fact have switched Lomu to the right wing, even though he's wearing number 11. So he's up against Wayne Proctor, not against Ian Evans, which is not what the Welsh would have been expecting.
No, and I'm just wondering whether Ian is going to be brave enough to swap with Proctor. But having said that, what a lovely positive start by Wales. And as you rightly said, John, the number of mistakes New Zealand have already made.
Darwin Jones gets up there, the 6'10" policeman gathers it in, and Wales have the All Blacks going back at the moment. The kick from Robert Jones. Proctor goes up. And still breaking for Wales. That wasn't a knock-on. And coming across, Glenn Osborne having to clear it into touch very quickly.
And twice we've seen it now in the both opening matches. Wales must have had practice in heading the ball, because on that occasion I think it was Neil Jenkins actually headed it forward, and that's perfectly allowed in law.
New Zealand putting the ball into touch, so Jonathan Humphreys with the throw. The referee not happy with the gap down the middle at the moment. I can hear him, and he's warning the All Blacks for closing the gap. Through the middle goes Big Gareth Thomas. He's moved in to the centre from the wing. He scored 3 tries on his debut. Wales setting it up in a good position. Can they free it? They have indeed. Back to Neil Jenkins. Over goes the drop goal. And Wales had the perfect start. Into the lead they go. It was beautifully set up. And Neil Jenkins doesn't miss those. So 3-0, Wales lead. 7 minutes gone.
Well, I'm not going to suggest for one moment that this is an easy 3 points. Neil Jenkins still has to make it, but it was the quality of the Welsh approach that set that up in front of the New Zealand post. And it certainly isn't going according to the script as far as New Zealand are concerned. They're looking a little uncomfortable under pressure, and that's what Wales have got to maintain.
Just trying to check who that is in trouble down there. John Davies. John Davies, who actually set up that ruck but allowed Neil Jenkins all the time for the drop goal. In fact, it's not the number 3, it's Ricky Evans, the loose head prop, who's come back. Ricky Evans back in the side after that broken leg. Mertens drops out. And Prosser wasn't really looking at that, he was expecting someone else to take it. And Wales obstructed. Prosser was certainly expecting somebody else to take that, but really a silly penalty to give away.
Yes, from the kickoffs we've seen in this World Cup, players deliberately standing in front of a player of their own side, waiting to receive the ball, and that is deliberate obstruction.
Mertens with his first kick. He made a record 28 points on his debut against Canada. Student came to prominence really playing for Canterbury and when they took the Ranfurly Shield. About 10 metres in from the touchline on the right side for him. Right-footed kicker, just gathering himself. And he's missed it on the near post, so Wales escape.
It's quite interesting there. I'm not so sure that Greg Prosser lost the sight of that ball in these very, very bright Ellis Park lights.
The referee deciding that wasn't a tackle in the air. Oh, that would have been a penalty. In comes Lomu through the middle. It's a great tackle by Mark Bennett. Trying to go through the middle was Bunce. They've got space out wide now. That's Osborne. Ellis cutting inside. And a penalty to Wales because once he was tackled, he clung on. He didn't have the support. Mark Ellis coming back, and good defending by Wales. They were certainly stretched then.
Yes, and it's very close really between whether the player's releasing the ball or not, and on that occasion a superb cover tackle by the Welsh defence, and Ellis unfortunately held on to the ball too long. Lovely break through the centre there, ball going out to the wing, but what a superb tackle by Ian Evans.
New Zealand already showing they're determined to bring Lomu into this game. Darwin Jones up again. Two policemen in the Welsh second row. And at the moment, they're certainly dominating. Good touch there from Robert Jones. 53 caps, equaling the scrum half record for Wales today, held by the man on my left, Gareth Edwards. Over the top, a poor throw. Wales having an extra man in the line, penalised for it. It's only a free kick for doing that, not a penalty. So Sean Fitzpatrick working out what he's going to go for. Fitzpatrick, Jones in the middle. Bishop running flat, brought down by his opposite number. Hemi Taylor penalised. Well, I'm not so sure about that. They reckon that the ruck was set. To me, I think I might have said tackle ball and just laid back.
Yes, I might agree with you on that occasion, John. For a ruck to actually occur, players must be on their feet over the ball. The tackle situation is quite simply you taking hold of an opponent and putting him on the ground, and it's going to be interesting to see a replay of that again.
Mertens with an easier chance this time. They're obviously determined to bring Lomu in. It's interesting the impact he's made on this tournament, Gareth. The Sporting Index, the spread betting specialists, have even made a special market on this game to see when he'll score a try, not if he'll score a try. They're reckoning he's going to score before the 42nd minute. Waitwell, Mertens goes for this one, almost in front. About 35 metres. And no mistake that time, so the score's black level. Andrew Mertens with his second kick at goal levels the scores. Wales 3, New Zealand 3.
Well, John, since John Olomo is on everybody's lips, you're absolutely right. But of course, as we all know, if you can keep the ball away from him, give him as few opportunities as possible, that will be Wales' best possible chance, because he does look ominous on that wing.
But they have started well, Wales, haven't they? They've played with confidence and they've been taking the game in the forwards to New Zealand.
Absolutely positive, done everything right and proper, found touch when they've had to, and done all the basic skills very well indeed.
Back it comes. Escaping that time, Mike Brewer. But the pass stopped and Mertens quickly changed his mind. It's a very good left-footed kick down to the corner. And that looks very dangerous for Wales. Which way is it going to bounce? And no chance at all for Tony Clement. They were thundering down on him and he just had to run it into touch. So a kick under pressure from young Andrew Mertens. Just 22 years old, but showing great coolness there and great precision with his kick. Sean Fitzpatrick winning his 65th cap. There's Ian Jones, the second row. They've got Blair Larson at the front jump. And a free kick to New Zealand because Wales that time accused of closing the gap. And New Zealand deciding they're going for a scrummage.
Well, I'm slightly amazed with Ed Morrison there, because for the line-out to take place, all players must be in the field of play, and the Welsh players were no more than 6 inches from their own goal line. They couldn't have gone back any further.
Now, a real test for Wales. In goes the ball, on goes the big drive. Bishop's at the back. It's gone through 90 degrees. And New Zealand really attacking this scrum. Totally different. In goes the ball. It goes down, and the referee decides that neither side is responsible. And a penalty. The far side went down, says the referee, and this time he's going to penalise them, not give away a penalty try.
But before Clive so eloquently will tell us the ins and outs of the law, I can't understand for the life of me how a referee on this side of the scrum can tell anybody who put that scrum down.
international referees' eyes. We can see everything, Gareth, at the end of the day. And we've seen so far in this tournament several penalty tries given, but for the referee to award a penalty try, the scrum must actually have been moving forward. On that occasion, it was stationary.
Mertens with the kick for goal. 16 minutes gone. And Wales put under that enormous pressure because of his huge kick to the corner. They've really been looking for somebody to replace the great Grant Fox, both goal kicking and as their playmaker. And this is the man who seems to be fitting the bill at the moment. But he's missed it on the near post again. 1 out of 3 so far. The Welsh cheers ring around the ground. And they come away for a 22 dropout. Still 3-all. Neil Jenkins putting it deep all the way down to Glenn Osborne. He's looking for support, and he's kicked that beautifully. One bounce and into touch just outside the Welsh 22. Mertens bunts. Oh, and coming through Jamie Kronfeld. Getting wide. Little. Good tackle. But Wales being fully stretched here. All the tackling sound at the moment by Wales, but still New Zealanders have it. The great charge from Kronfeld again. Lost control of it there, but they've got an overlap. And there's no stopping him this time. In goes Walter Little for the try. Well, Wales seem to have just managed to take advantage for a moment of New Zealand losing control, but then it broke for New Zealand. And Walter Little, back in the team, goes over for the first try of the game.
And we saw in the Irish match with the New Zealand that the luck of the bounce went with New Zealand totally. This occasion, again, it's shot out to the side of the ruck. Good hands, out to Walter Little, and an easy 5 points.
Up go the flags. Again, it was a bit close to the left-hand post, but this time it's over, and New Zealand go into a lead, 10 points to 3.
We might see the look on Ian Evans' face here, which shows how fortuitous it was. Certainly the bounce helped them, but there was a lot of pressure from New Zealand leading up to that try.
That's the point. They have had Wales under the cosh for the last few minutes, and it was Prosser's little tap away instinctively that made it happen. Bashop. Right for a go. Clement. That one bounced well for Wales. Prosser gets it away. Pulled by goes Thomas. Jenkins. Little fumble, but no knock on. But it is directly into touch, so Wales will have a line out back in the New Zealand half. Quarter of the way through the game. There's Glenn Osborne, nephew of Bill Osborne, who many of you, I'm sure, will remember as that very strong centre for the All Blacks back in the 70s. Gareth Llewellyn well forward and Darwin Jones up at the back, but that time New Zealand came up with it. The kick to the corner, and another good position for the All Blacks inside the Welsh 22.
Yes, it looks as if the All Blacks are content in just pushing Wales back, unlike they did against Ireland, where possibly on every opportunity they try to get the ball out to their wings. They're now playing the percentage game, pushing Wales under pressure and just attacking from close in.
Jonathan Humphreys. Darren Jones getting the deflection, but Kronfeld coming through. And the scrum going to New Zealand because he set up the ruck. They're looking to roll it off. That's big Jamie Joseph exploding onto the ball. And again New Zealand, because they'd set up the ruck, the ball was on the floor and they were going forward. Huge advantage there so far in open play. New Zealand coming up with the ball twice as often as the Welsh. Gone through 90, so they've got to reset the scrum. And Wales under pressure again. They've turned it.
And Wales will have to be very careful here. You're not allowed to deliberately step away from the scrummage as such. You must keep bound in the front row while the ball's in.
And a little bit of attention needed to one of the All Blacks over on the far side there, and that gives Wales a little chance to go into the huddle and just remind each other that they need something special here. Blair Larson just needing a bit of attention.
It was interesting there on that last scrimmage, John, where the All Blacks were actually putting pressure on Wales, that Gareth Llewellyn was actually standing off the scrum. And I'm just wondering whether playing in this new position, you know, will have a detrimental effect on that Welsh scrimmage.
I'm sure he's nervous about tackling round the fringes. On goes the big heave. Get up again, says the referee. And he's gone round to the far side. He sees that's where the trouble is. And he's going to stay there to check that they keep it up. And now he's calling two of the props together and telling them exactly what he wants. So Ricky Evans and Olo Brown. They lay it off. They've got to put it back. Mertens into Loma in the middle. Lovely adventurous move, but the pass wasn't good enough. And Wales have a chance to escape. Tony Clement coming up with the ball. Robert Jones with the kick. And a good touch on their 10-metre line. Again, relieved cheers all the way around from the Welsh crowd.
Well, John, I don't know if our viewers at home saw that John Lulmu tackle on my call, but he virtually picked him up and almost took him over the line.
Laurie Mains, the New Zealand coach, with Jeff Wilson, who was injured in the match against Ireland, sitting next to him, looking reasonably content with the way things are going so far. There's Blair Larson. Sometimes plays on the flank, sometimes in the second row. Mertens picks that one up beautifully, and that's a dangerous kick. Clement has to go off his feet to take it. He can only knock it backwards. Robert Jones comes away with it beautifully, but knocked forward by the All Blacks. Scrum for Wales. Josh Kronfeld there with the headgear on. He always wears it. And a free kick to Wales.
Excellent jump by Tony Clement then. He was just unlucky not to catch it cleanly. And the free kick
from Tony Clement takes play up to halfway. Clement now settled in at fullback. Scored 2 tries on his debut against the USA as a replacement wing. And Ed Morrison working overtime at the line-out, letting the teams know exactly what he wants. Wales come up with it. And they've got a bit of forward momentum there. Back it comes. Neil Jenkins puts it wide. But dropped there by the captain, Mike Hall. And now a chance. Mark Ellis chipping ahead. And Wales will desperately want this to roll. It doesn't. Cool work by Robert Jones. He was trying to wait for it, but couldn't.
Yes, and as a former scrum half, delighted to see those skills from this silky player. Delighted to see him joining the 53 club with his number of caps today and having a fine game to boot.
Wales trailing 10 points to 3 and they're under pressure. Off the top from Larson. Number 8, Brewer. Good hard hit, but the ball again came backwards. Oh, and wriggling free, it's Little. Basham, Jamie Joseph. Oh, and knocked forward by Cronfield on the line. A good tackle on Joseph. Terrific tackle. I think it was Mark Bennett, it was.
And if the older viewers are wondering why the referee hasn't awarded a 22 dropout because he's knocked it on over the goal line, the new law now says that if you knock the ball on over the try line, then it's a scrum 5 metres out. There's the pass, and there's the knock-on from Cronfield.
Mark Bennett taking the opportunity there to get some liquid down, and he deserves some. That was a terrific tackle. Stopped Jamie Joseph, who is a lot bigger and a lot heavier in his tracks. Jonathan Humphreys there in the middle of the front row. And it's really moving around and wheeling. The referee telling both sides that they're at fault because they weren't steady. Wales again under pressure, but they've steadied it now. Robert Jones, and it's a good kick. Ellis has it, he can take a quick one, but he decides against it. Play just outside the 22. Robert Jones, who played for Western Province out here last season. Fitzpatrick with the throw, probably the best hooker thrower in the world. Very accurate indeed. Basham Mertens, big kick again, hoisting it at Clement, and he can't take it. Robert Jones puts it away, and it obviously wasn't touched by Clement at all because the referee otherwise would have penalised Robert Jones. Abercynon RFC here in force. Lovely banner up there in the stands. Everybody pouring into town for this great event. 10-3 New Zealand lead. And we've got just under 10 minutes to go to half-time. There's Josh Cronfield. And a penalty to New Zealand. Pulling down up at the front. That was Blair Larson who's on the floor. I don't think any question about that one, Clive.
No, perfectly correct in that situation. You're not allowed to make contact with an opponent until he's got the ball. And on that occasion, Wales just took the jumper clean out of the line-out. There's the accurate throw-in that John described earlier. The man going up, and look at the Welsh arm. It's going to go across and drag him down, and you can't interfere in that situation.
But John, you and I remember the time when the line-out used to be all that in New Zealand. How times have changed.
Even I used to win some line-out ball, and I had to be a fair old bit of pushing and shoving for that to happen. Merton's 2 out of 4 at the moment. This one, no problem distance-wise. Yes, it's held its line. That's what he wanted, straight through the middle. And New Zealand extend that lead. 13-3. They now lead by 10 points. And Gareth, we have to say that that bright start by Wales has faded somewhat. It's all been New Zealand pressure for the last quarter.
Yes, and that's coming because they're winning this loose ball, they're retaining the possession and turning Wales back.
Here they go again. They've got the control of that ball. Sweating to roll it off to Bashop. Lomu going down the short side. Can they gather it in? No, it's Little who comes up with it, but there was a little knock forward. So, more solid scrum, despite the oomph as they went down. The poor pass from Neil Jenkins. Clement, though, rescues it, and they might still get an attack away. Taken by Hall. This is Gareth Thomas. Ian Evans has it. Cross kicks. Culture's there. But it's gone straight to the man they don't want it to. Lomu. Bashop tries to come away with it. There's a Welsh hand in there. And a penalty to New Zealand. The cross kick there really needed, Gareth, to be behind the New Zealand backs. It was too flat.
Yes, indeed. But another, adventurous and positive move by Wales. They're not afraid to attack. And dare I say it, I don't want to sound too biased, but it does seem as if the luck of the bounce is going New Zealand way with that ball landing in John Olomo's hands.
Well, Tony Clement there letting it bounce, which was dangerous, but it bounced kindly for him that time. Well, it's a huge kick, but great boos from the crowd because the ball has actually bowed into touch way before that. And the touch is given just inside the Welsh half. Well, there's the story. Territory and possession very clearly in New Zealand's favour. And that's reflected in the scoreline. They just kept the pressure on. A little opportunist try. Haven't really created that one so far, but they were in the right position to take advantage. Mertens, there's big Frank Bunce going through the middle. Larson. Joseph. Keeping it going the same way. Lomu. That's Osborne. Kronfeld. Good tackling by the Welsh. They got back there. They nearly ran out, but they didn't quite. Have they got enough men wide? If New Zealand release it now, they've got men to spare out here on the left. And Mark Ellis goes in for the try. Ian Evans was always struggling. Good play by New Zealand. They attacked down the right side twice. Nearly broke the Welsh defence there, and then when they dragged everybody in, went again and spread it wide.
Well, let's appreciate rugby at its best. Some fantastic attacking play by New Zealand. It's a long pass really that set it up, but it was the driving of the New Zealand forwards initially in the move Again, some outstanding tackling by the Welsh team, but at the end of the day, not enough men out wide.
There's the long pass, and it's not often people get past Ian Evans, but he was beaten by the speed of the ball on that occasion.
Mertens, 18-3 at the moment. Oh, that's a beautiful kick. From the touchline, he puts it over just to rub it in. 20 points to 3. New Zealand lead. And that was exactly what Wales did not want just before half-time. Just a couple of minutes to go. Little running straight, lovely spun pass. And Ian Evans was a little bit anxious because he wasn't sure that Gareth Thomas would actually get to the man inside, and he could only go once he was sure. Free kick to New Zealand. From the kickoff. There's Alec Evans, a worried Welsh coach at this stage. His team 17 points behind. Four ball to Robert Jones. He could do nothing with that. And New Zealand now, I'm sure, sort of beginning to feel comfortable, Clive.
Yes, very much so. And it's quite amazing, John, that everybody's been looking for Jonah Lomu. We really haven't seen him, but the other 14 players have more than made up for it.
Good drive. This is the play which the All Blacks are so good at. And Wales stealing it, and Gareth Llewellyn was on his feet. The man left on the floor there was Craig Dowd. They went straight over the top of him, but there was nothing malicious about it. So a scrum to Wales. Touch of New Zealand rucking, Clive.
Yes, at his best, but the crucial thing there was that Gareth Llewellyn was actually on his feet picking the ball up, and therefore he wasn't infringing in law.
I was really talking about the way the Welsh went over the top of Craig Dowd. And the New Zealanders penalised for going down. Olo Brown says, what, me? And the referee has absolutely no hesitation in calling him, says he was pulling his man down. Tony Clement comes forward. Lovely touch deep into the 22. Wales will have a line out before half-time in a good attacking position, and it would raise their spirits tremendously if they could do something with it.
Yes, they desperately need some points on the board now to encourage them for the second half.
Laurie Mains there in the black blazer in the second row, as it were. Well gathered in by Derwyn Jones. And Wales have got a drive on. Great cheers as they go straight over the top and dragging down the wall by the All Blacks. So Wales have the penalty. A little hesitation there. Robert Jones thought they might just try and rub it in before half-time by going for a try. But Neil Jenkins has now come forward and says he wants to kick for goal.
I would hate to say that that was a sign of desperation by a New Zealand pack going backwards, John. It looked more like a professional approach to the game. Stop them scoring the try, give the penalty away instead. There's the drive. Look at the body angle of the Welsh forwards and the legs pumping. That's excellent. The old-fashioned loose scrimmage, and there you can see the All Blacks pulling the maul down in desperation.
Neil Jenkins successful with that early drop goal which gave Wales the lead, and he's had one penalty attempt. This is not easy, but it's the right side for him, that very studied routine. The ball high up there on its sand tee, and oh, it's held its line. He's got it over, great kick. And Neil Jenkins gives the Welsh a lift just before half-time. The score, New Zealand 20, Wales 6. We're in the 42nd minute. There hasn't been much stoppage time. He's going to let it restart. But I don't think it will go after this one. So we need a score while the ball's in play. Knocked back by Ian Jones beautifully. Breaks for Little. Bunts. Trying to get round everybody. And Prosser gets him. Well, bad call there from the referee, but he could be forgiven. He thought it was knocked forward by Wales. It was very definitely knocked back by Ian Jones. Great play from the athletic. New Zealand second row. New Zealand in the driving seat. Very much so. 2 tries to 0 at the moment. They lead 20 points to 6. And Wales have got to regroup now around half-time. Start to win some quality ball and come out and play positively in the second half.
Heineken Export, the world's greatest internationals.
Are Will Carling's men worthy challengers? How developed are the developing nations? And just how secure is Australia's crown? Read Stuart Barnes in The Telegraph, writing straight from the heart of the World Cup. The Daily Telegraph, the newspaper devoted to just one subject, life. If you want to take part, take The Telegraph.
The new 3-in-1 exchange in Mart has thousands of second-hand cars to choose from. But get it before the weekend, or the best bargains might have gone.
A tornado is a rapidly rotating column of air in contact with the ground. It comes from thunderstorms. We drop probes into the paths of tornadoes, trying to get an idea of what kind of force is contained within these vortices. Maneuverability is very important. In split-second situations, there's very little margin for error.
Welcome back to Ellis Park, where New Zealand lead Wales 20 points to 6. Just to recap some of the day's news, England have qualified, beating Italy. Ireland beat Japan, and Australia struggled again in their victory over Canada. Gareth Edwards, very briefly, your assessment of the first half here.
Well, right off the All Blacks at their own peril. Some of the rugby they've served up this evening has been of the highest quality, especially the support play. And fair play to Wales. I think they've played as well as they've been allowed to. And they've come out with very much credit, particularly in the defensive work.
Gareth, thanks for now. We'll be right back after the break.
Heineken Export, the world's greatest internationals.
I've won! I've won!
I've won!
Forget it all for an instant.
Flag was agreed. I called the police. I really did.
We're trying to put food there, boys.
Thanks a bunch.
Why did you make me 2 hours?
Give a cash reserve, please.
as chewing dust conceals some corner of a foreign field. Think only this of me, that there's some corner of a foreign field that is forever.
Welcome back to Ellis Park in Johannesburg, and Wales just waiting to kick off this second half, trailing 20 points to 6, and they really need to make something happen in the early stages of this second half. They started brightly, some good attacks, but then the All Black machine rolled into action very efficiently. The one person we haven't seen anything of is Jonah Lomu so far. And Neil Jenkins putting it deep to the corner. That was clever, just trying to narrow the angle, but an equally good kick. Back down from Mertens. And Tony Clement hitting that fully 80 metres. Back goes Graham Bishop. It's a bit like Australian rules at the moment. Robert Jones now putting it long, trying to get it over that dead ball line. That's what he's achieved this time. The idea being that New Zealand will have to drop out to Wales, and hopefully for the Welsh team they'll be able to regain possession. That's the idea. The aerial battle eventually being resolved. Mertens, very deep kick, Robert Jones under it. Back it comes to Neil Jenkins. Well, he was a bit slow off the mark there, he didn't have that time with All Blacks around. But he did well, he's strong as well as being a kicker, so he could certainly do that. Ian Evans, quickly onto his man. But the New Zealanders come up with it. Mertens with a superb wide kick in behind Wayne Proctor. And he decides he's not going to have a go at getting around Jonah Lomu, especially from inside his 22, and opts for safety and a touch on the 10-metre line. There's the big man, 18.5 stone, would you believe, 6'5", and he's a winger. They were asking Colin Meads after the Ireland match whether they'd seen a player like him. He said, yes, I've seen a couple like him before, but never on the wing. Kronfeld laying it back. Mertens coming right, the little chip over the back. Again, Clement trying to leave it to go in, but there was an offside, and the referee was just allowing advantage. When they came back right, the Welsh backs were offside, and he now awards the kick.
Excellent advantage by referee Ed Morrison there. Superb. The player was offside, and even though the ball was kicked downfield, he's awarded the penalty.
Mertens just waiting for his kicking tee to come on. There it is. Interesting, Neil Jenkins still uses sand. Quite a number of players using sand, especially if they like to tee the ball really high. But Mertens uses this little plastic kicking tee. Bishop, having had some treatment, I think it looks like a bang around the ankle, the way they're just cooling it down and rubbing it. Only came into the national squad in February, 4 goals from 6 at the moment. And that's good. Gives it a good old lick, and of course the ball travels even further in this thin air up here at 6,000 feet. 23-6, New Zealand lead. Four minutes gone in the second half. Again, well, he really is playing the margins very tightly, trying to put it onto a sixpence inside the touchline, and that's risky, Gareth.
Well, and that's when the screws are being turned, that's the last kind of thing you want to do, because it really does take the wind out of your forwards.
But that wasn't a miss hit, that's what he was going for. High risk. Oh, and just pushed across. Lomu comes up on it. He's immediately swamped by Welsh jerseys, but he's so strong, he's able to feed it back to Larson, who feeds his scrum half. Clement decides it's time to try and attack. He's got back to in front of his forwards. Now he lays it back. And New Zealand have robbed them. They've got it the back of the maul. I think there was a hand in there. The referee didn't see it. Ian Evans, this time it does roll well for Wales, goes over the try line, and they can touch down for a 22.
Well, that run by Tony Clement might have come to nothing, but I'm encouraged because I think this boy has very exciting attacking qualities. I only wish he'd do it a little bit more often.
Neil Jenkins, he's going to go for the long one, making sure everybody's behind him. Big boot, but he hasn't cleared Mertens. Again, we go into this restart. The ball dead, and Wales will have to come back and drop out again. It might be boring, but New Zealand know exactly what they want from this game. They just want a nice, comfortable win. And they're in the driving seat, so it's up to Wales to make the running. Again, straight to Mertens. Lomu. Hemi Taylor. It broke the first tackle, but there was someone there as a backup. Jamie Joseph through the middle. The ball retention so good. Mertens showing he's got a bit of running about him too. Glenn Osborne, Larson, Kronfeldt. And as so often in there to carry the drive on, the captain and hooker Fitzpatrick. Back into the middle, Lomu now. Thomas hangs on to him well, but they've got men outside if they can only feed them, and a knock on over the line. Well, the referee saying there was an offside down on the right when they set up the ruck, and coming all the way back, playing the advantage again. Saying there was no advantage because the try wasn't scored.
And whereas Clive once again will tell us that the referee was correct, possibly, to me that was utter rubbish, because advantage certainly had been played. They'd almost scored up there. There was some superb tackling from the Welsh defence, and as far as I'm concerned, you can't run 40 or 50 metres across field, knock 3 or 4 tackles and not call it advantage.
Yes, there was some superb passing by the New Zealand three-quarters, and it was desperate defence by the Welsh. And the ball goes forward, you can see from Bunster over the line. And what Ed Morrison, the referee, has said in that situation is that he was looking for the try to actually come to negate the offside.
So Mertens is going to kick for goal. The crowd don't like it, and I think everybody feels a little bit aggrieved at that. Mark Bennett there, the number 7, it was he who got in the good tackle again. Here we see the move. This is where the offside was supposed to have occurred, and off it went from there. Mertens oblivious to all of that. He's got 5 goals from 7, and all he's interested in is making it 6 from 8. Still a student. And he's getting a bit of the consistency that we used to see from Grant Fox, which is all this New Zealand team need to make them into a very good side indeed, because Grant Fox used to get them out of trouble when things weren't going well. They're going fine at the moment. New Zealand 26, Wales 6. Great crosser, trying to get in there. Bishop pushes it forward. Lomu goes after it. Proctor's back. Oh, lovely little bit of footwork from him. Takes him away from the tacklers. But can Wales come up with the ball? No, they can't, and the scrum goes to New Zealand.
Yes, and referee hasn't awarded the scrum to Wales from the kickoff because the player ran away from the maul being set up.
Mertens, little Mertens, wide to Osborne. That's how to create space. Hall gets in the tackle. Ian Evans brings down Ellis. And the ball going into touch. The All Blacks moving into full flow here. They're quite prepared to move the ball wide and play that more attacking, wider style that Gareth was talking about earlier, now that they've established the platform. Big step up this for John Humphreys. He captained the development 15 for the first test against New Zealand. Good ball though Wales have from the front of the line out. Robert Jones finding touch. But really, Wales have got to come up with 2 or 3 of these line-out balls now, Gareth, in succession, even if it's a New Zealand throw-in, because they've got to somehow get some pressure onto New Zealand if they're going to get into this game at all.
That's the problem. Apart from the first 10 minutes, Wales just can't have any consistent good ball. And now they're really living on scraps, would be an understatement. They really need a little bit of pressure. But really, New Zealand are calling all the tunes.
Badly tapped ball. And the referee apologising there to the players because he lost the ball. He thought it was dead, and therefore he's given the scrum to Wales. He's not changing any decisions. He's just saying he didn't know where it was. That too, Clive, a nice touch, huh?
Yes, very good refereeing indeed. He's got sympathy with the players, and that's what you're looking for in this World Cup.
Up goes the big up and under. Jenkins is there. Thomas it was, sorry, he was there. Couldn't take it though. Straight into touch, and Wales have a good position just outside the New Zealand 22. Alec and his assistant coach Dennis John, and there they were clambering all over Gadwin Jones. So a penalty to Wales. Neil Jenkins is stepping forward. I can't help thinking that at 26-6 and very few attacking platforms, perhaps a kick for goal is not the best idea here.
Well, maybe Wales believe that the game is beyond them anyway. But of course there is another match at the weekend. And what Wales will want from this, if they can't get a victory, will be any amount of confidence. And the closer the score at the end of the night against a New Zealand side will certainly put them in good heart.
There, Neil Jenkins, as you see, really does point the ball forward, almost like the old toe-in kickers did. And he does that to keep the ball straight when he strikes it. They've discovered that it eliminates the natural draw that round the corner kickers get on the ball. 14 minutes gone. Neil Jenkins. He is very, very reliable. That one too goes straight between the posts. The score 26-9. If Wales could just get a try and convert it, they would be back in this game. Neil Jenkins from Pontypridd, the first man to score 1,000 points in Welsh League Rugby. Now, of course, the Welsh record points scorer. Greg Prosser not able to take that cleanly, but Wales got over the top of it well. Robert Jones puts it down the touchline. Ieuan Evans is after it. Mark Ellis takes it in well. Penalty, I think that was Ieuan Evans actually just trying, having gone beyond it, to pull it back. It might have been Mark Bennett. Just seeing it on the All Black side, just trying to haul it back over.
Yes, great take there. And you see Ieuan Evans doesn't make contact until the player's actually on the ground. And there it is, over the top, out of the game. There it is, Mark Bennett.
And a fumble there from Glenn Osborne.
I can't help but wonder, it's worth saying once again, John, there's some enterprising, delightful rugby from New Zealand, but they are making mistakes, and unlike New Zealanders, not under pressure.
Off the top, beautifully, well controlled. This is a good ball now. Coming in, it was Proctor. This is where Wales have not really had the power to worry the All Blacks so far. Wide it goes to Neil Jenkins, to Hall, Ieuan Evans, slips inside, gets the pass outside to Thomas. Hall, and then it was Thomas who couldn't quite take the last pass. But something for the Welsh to cheer about. Gareth Thomas, who scored 3 tries from the wing in the first game. Greg Prosser, number 5. Derwyn Jones, number 4. That's Larson, the All Blacks number 5. Behind him, Ian Jones, their number 4. Back it goes. It was an outside arm. And in fact, Ed Morrison has penalised the All Blacks for tugging one of the Welsh players' shirts as he tried to go through after that tap. Neil Jenkins. He's just having a little look to see whether the All Blacks had covered the corner. They had, so he opts for the kick at goal.
And that's always the danger when you tap the ball back from the line out. It allows the opponents to go straight through onto the scrum half. And in that situation, New Zealand pulled the Welsh player back.
Neil Jenkins, before this match, 380 points. He's now got 389, increasing his Welsh total. This very studied approach again. Goes through exactly the same routine. That time, though, it doesn't work. Just pulls it too far across the posts. Tony Clement under the dropout. Now he's going to run it back at them. Well, he's put it high, trying to get his runners after them, but they're well organised at the back there. Osborne just supporting the catcher and able to take the pressure off. Kick into the corner, lands beautifully, just inside the corner flag, but he got the wrong bounce on it. Robert Jones, very accurate.
Well, I'm not so sure Robert knew what he was doing there, and of course at altitude that ball carried some 60-odd metres, and whereas he thought possibly he'd have been lucky if it had bounced into touch, at the very least he's going to gain 35 metres by making sure the ball goes over the try line.
Mertens, Hemi Taylor under it. He's got nowhere to go, but he gets the pass away. Pressure's off. Now they've got a bit of space. The kick doesn't find touch. Osborne. Proctor read him well. The winger there was on his back foot all the time, and yet he just didn't make his move until the full-back had made his.
Yes, Proctor has marked his man and indeed the full-back Glenn Osborne there very, very well. I'm just wondering, the pace is dropping off a little bit, whether this altitude is getting the effect on the players.
Wales getting a good drive on. Now they need the other forwards back in behind them. John Davies, the man in the middle of all that. He lays it back now. Mark Bennett driving through, setting it up well. But it didn't come. It was on the floor though, and Wales get the scrum. And I think Wales thought they might have had a penalty there, because that man, number 1, Craig Dowd, they felt was stopping the ball coming back on their side. Bennett just needing a little bit of treatment. He certainly doesn't hold back.
Now he goes forward very well indeed, and he's been picked today, John, purely for his speed around the park, and that was a great drive forward, and it was only Dowd staying down after the tackle that stopped Wales winning the ruck ball.
I think that's probably meant to be a caricature of Neil Jenkins. Well, there you can see the possession in the first half, 64% of it to New Zealand, and that pattern continuing in the second half. Jones with the feed. Good push, second push from the Welsh. Taylor goes off, but he's a bit by himself. And a penalty because he was holding on. That's what happens when you get isolated. And Hemi Taylor, of course, originally from the Waikato, anxious to make an impression against the countryman from the place where he was born. He went to Wales in 1986 and has qualified on residence.
Yes, and here we see him isolating himself, and if he hits the ground, you've got to release the ball immediately. There you can see him hanging on to it for grim death.
Back it goes. Gareth Llewellyn's there, but Jones gets the good touch. Dowd pops it up to Larson. Good driving play, and they've got a broken field now if they release it. Wide it goes to Ellis. Oh, and Ellis so nearly breaks free. It's freed. Bashot. And the drop goal. Mertens. Lots and lots of time under no pressure. And New Zealand go away to 29-9, the gap 20 points. But hang on, the touch judges stepped in. We could see this reverse, because what he's pointing out must have happened before the drop goal went over. So if it did that and the referee decides to take his... No, but he's not. It's a Welsh offence, in fact. He's calling forward Robert Jones.
Yes, and as it's a Welsh player, the drop goal by Mertens stands.
And leading to that drop goal, I think we saw how effective these All Blacks are They've been on the defensive, but then all of a sudden, with speed, good retention of possession, they set up that beautiful position for that drop goal.
Mertens, huge kick downfield. It bounces kindly for Clement. Back it goes into the other 22, nearly. Bashop's got to run this out, he can't kick it except straight down the park. Robert Jones now, what's he going to do? He's going to go for touch. And the end result is what New Zealand wanted. A line out with their throw-in midway in the Welsh half. Brown coming through to take that one on the charge. Jamie Joseph, Kronfeld makes the mistake. Wales flick it up and come away with it. Ian Evans with a bit of space. Couldn't get the run he wanted on Ellis. Now, Osborne quite happy to open it up. And he hoofs it back right behind the Welsh cover. And again, Robert Jones is back there, but he hasn't really got much of an option unless he gets people now behind him. Mike Hall. He's putting it long. Ellis is back there. So's Bashop. And Ellis opts for touch. And what a beautiful kick it was. Ellis, who played fly half on the tour of Britain 2 years ago. Showing his kicking skills off there. Jones, up he goes, middle of the line that time. Prosser now has it, trying to roll it on. Coming back to John Davies, he's going to roll off with it, back to Hemi Taylor. Gareth Llewellyn. John Humphreys. John Davies again. Hemi Taylor getting some drive inside the Welsh, the All Blacks 10-metre line. Lovely little run from Tony Clement, still going. Prosser. Back it comes to Robert Jones. They've got an overlap there if they can work it. Oh, but the pass inside was awful. It was never on. And Sean Fitzpatrick, the old poacher, was in there to snap it out.
Well, I think the crowd thinks that it was a knock-on by Sean Fitzpatrick, but in fact, if we look at the slow-mo, we can actually see that it's the tackle that knocks the ball into touch.
Well, certainly Wales must take a little credit for the way that they're sticking into it. Yes, that's the incident where the ball went into touch. But they're sticking at their task. They haven't given up. And whereas we get that feeling, that sense of feeling that every time New Zealand want to raise the pace of the game, they can do so at will.
That's the thing I think that worries me most as a Welshman, Gareth. They haven't really been in the game at any stage.
Well, they certainly haven't threatened the All Blacks, apart from possibly in the first 5 or 6 minutes. But you've got to give the lads credit, A, for their defensive work. Their tackling has been immense, and certainly it has to be, or the score has been double what it is now.
Humphreys okay again, and he throws in. The throw from Darwin Jones, it wasn't a good one. Went backwards. Mark Bennett's allowed to carry on and set it up. Jenkins back inside to Hall. He takes it back to the right of the maul. Clement, but he can't find Ian Evans. And Wales have the put in at the scrum. "28 minutes gone. Just 29 now. call, just got Short's trouble. There they go. Jamie Joseph can't get a hold of anything else, so just hangs on there. And they were under pressure trying to work the ball off the back of the scrum and have paid the penalty. Kronfeldt allowed to play it off the floor there because there was no tackle. Larson in there to tighten it up. This is where they're so much quicker to the ball than Wales. And now they've got the ball that they can work with. Lomu, round Proctor this time, and away he goes. That tremendous pace as well. Just brought down, but he's on his feet again. He wasn't held, so that's okay. And he's over the line. The try given, and Lomu at last gets into it. But he didn't score it. It was Kronfeldt who took the final pass. Just handed off at the end. The big man got away just once, and it was once too much for Wales. But there's Josh Kronfeldt, the flanker, who scored in the first game against Ireland and has scored again in this one.
And we waited 70 minutes to mention Jonah Lomu coming down, and it's all about good, quick passing and good hands. Look at the way he takes Proctor on, and Proctor's no slouch. Carries the ball perhaps in the wrong hand, but he's not really worried about that. He's now going to try to take Tony Clement on, and really, we're talking about Jonah Lomu, but the man who's impressed me, John, is this man who scores the try, Kronfeldt. He's been at everybody's elbow throughout the game.
Yes, he had a tremendous game against the 93 Lions.
Well, it's Olomo's pace that really shatters everybody here. I think it's caught the Proctor by surprise. And I think they were also surprised that he ever got up with the ball. And I agree. Great support.
And Lomu actually having quite a lot of attention at the moment on the sideline. In fact, he's been substituted. But he has this incredible pace, 18.5 stone. But he can run 100 metres in 10.9, they reckon, and that is very, very quick. But he's off the field at the moment and has been replaced. I think it's Ant Strawn who's come on. No, Eric Rush who's come on for him. The kick wide of the left upright. So the scoreline 34-9, and it's Lomu's shoulder that appears to be giving him a lot of trouble, and shoulder injuries, as we know, don't come right very quickly. There he goes. Everything wrong for the purists, the ball under the wrong arm, but it doesn't matter when you've got that amount of power. Born in Auckland of Tongan parents, and Kronfeldt, as Clive Norling was saying, always there, right on the shoulder. From the restart, Wales have the scrum. Back to Robert Jones. Gareth Thomas through the middle, chipping, but it was going nowhere, and Joseph charges it down and sets it up. Down into the corners. Mertens pushes a beautiful kick that rolls into touch, just 4 or 5 metres short of the try line.
And that's great control in the last 10 minutes of the game. Your forwards want to go forward all the time, and Mertens is certainly pushing his forwards down the field.
And the first cap for Eric Rush. He's been around in the All Black squad for quite a while, but he's never got on. Had 12 All Black appearances in provincial games on tour before this, but there he's now won his first cap. Rush, who started life as a flanker and was persuaded by the coach Laurie Mains to move to the wing. Off the top, but I think that might have been... I thought they might have done him for lifting, but it wasn't that in the end.
No, Johnny had him for too many numbers in the line-out.
Clement's kick takes play up to halfway, and Wales move away from danger. Free kick. On a free kick, it's the opposition who get the throw in. Wales thinking they were having it, as they would have done for a penalty. There's Kronfeldt. He's been mightily impressive. Played so well for Otago against the 93 Lions. Still only 23. And Humphries can't hold on to it. Eric Rush gets his first touch. It was Prosser, in fact, who went through. Joseph coming off. Feeds it back quickly, though, this time to Bashop. Wide to Bunce, and Ellis has got a bit of room. Ian Evans shadows him well, though, and takes him into touch.
And that's experience on the wing, isn't it? British Lion, he knows how to measure his man up and then put him over the touchline.
Into the last 5 minutes on the clock. And the All Blacks penalised for not keeping that gap in the line-out. Ed Morrison says, I don't care if it's only 5 minutes to go, I want it all the way through. Again, Wales getting the initial run, but they weren't tight enough, and this time the All Blacks penalised. Humphries down. The thing that worries me most about this, Clive, is that Wales have been on the back foot most of the time. They haven't really put the All Blacks under pressure. I just hope that when they go into the vital match against Ireland, they will play in a completely different style.
Yes, I think Alec Evans, the coach who we can see there with Dennis John, his assistant, they are firm believers in playing patterns to game, and I'm sure that they'll have a totally different pattern to take the Irish on Saturday.
Because I'm sure that the way for Wales to beat Ireland is to take the game to them and attack at every opportunity. It was in touch. The Irish certainly looked vulnerable when the Japanese attacked them.
They certainly did today, but the Irish will also take heart the way that New Zealand have dominated Wales tonight.
There's the line out now, just a couple of metres from the All Blacks line, and the Welsh cheers start to ring. One thing that would do them a lot of good is a try at this stage. They can't come up with the ball, or they nearly did. Bennett couldn't get there, though. Mertens went in bravely and clears. Bounced very badly for Clement. Bunce is after it. Ian Evans has to clear to touch, even though he was outside the 22. And I think Bunce was sniffing a try there, the only man to have scored for two countries in the World Cup. Remember, in the 1991 tournament, he was playing for Western Samoa. There from Glenamon and Ponteberem. Jarwin Jones in the middle, goes to the back though, off the top from Brewer, and then nudged forward by the support player.
And you know, John, the odds of 4-1 against New Zealand winning the World Cup are starting to look mighty attractive indeed.
Welsh put in on their own 22. It's wheeled around, but it has to go back to Tony Clement. Not one of his best, but safely into touch. (34-9), New Zealand leading. Taken by Hemi Taylor, and Bennett breaks away. He had support with him. Now Wales must come up with this one quickly. They take it on again. It's another good surge. And the referee happy to let that go on because the All Blacks were on their feet. Bennett, though, was on the ground and trying to tackle the man while he was down there. In fact, the penalty going to Wales, it was Larson who was at fault. Well, as you can see, just coming up now to 80 minutes on the clock. This match, dominated by New Zealand, hasn't been one of the great thrillers of the tournament, but they've always been in control, and they're thinking to the knockout stages and trying to conserve some energies for that. They've got Japan for their last match in this pool stage, and that shouldn't take too much out of them. Glenn Osborne stepping aside. Kronfeld yet again the man there in support. Larson exploding away. Jamie Joseph staying on his feet, going back in to find support. Now there's a Little straight through the middle. Kronfeld with him on the inside, looking for the support runner. He flicks it loose, but Rush just couldn't quite get close enough to him. And the referees had enough. New Zealand, worthy winners there. The Welsh will feel that they were not disgraced, but in reality, New Zealand controlled that match almost from the start to the finish. The final score, New Zealand 34, Wales 9.
So there's the situation in Pool C tonight. New Zealand top, of course, with a maximum 6 points from 2 games, and Wales and Ireland 4 points each after their victories over Japan. Well, there's a big weekend of rugby coming up on ITV. 3 crucial matches: Scotland, France,